This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, all of you. So yesterday we were discussing the informed consent process. So informed consent process means we need to inform the patient or the participant all aspects regarding the research. So right from like why the research is being conducted and whether what all interventions will be done on them, how often they have to meet the researcher and what all tests will be done on them. So all these will be informed to the participant, and then they will decide whether or not to participate, and the decision will be completely without any force, like it is completely willingly they have to uh, give the consent. So that is informed consent process. So yesterday we were discussing what all requisites, like what all has to be uh, followed while doing this informed consent process. So it should be given voluntarily, and then all the information has to be taught to the researcher has to educate the participant regarding everything. And this ICD, informed consent document, has got two parts. So one is participant information sheet, and in this participant information sheet all the aspects of the research will be present, like all the procedure, how it is done, then who all are the who all are the other participants, then what benefits they will get. So all such information should be there in the participant information sheet. And once the researcher has will hand over the participant information sheet, the participant or the healthy volunteer or even the patient, they have to go through it and they have to sign on the informed consent form. Then so every information should be there, which will actually affect their decision to join in the study. Then the participant must also be given adequate time to read properly the information sheet and to decide whether or not to participate. And the researcher also must be present with them for some time so that they can ask questions, and they can clarify all the doubts. Then next is the essential elements of informed consent documents. So the ICD, what all it should contain. So in the ICD, they should specifically mention that it is a research that is being carried out, and what are the purpose and how the research will be done, methods of the research in a very simple language that the participant can understand in their own local language. It has to be prepared, so it should not be in English. So if the participant is comfortable with English, then fine, otherwise it should be in their own local language and in very simple language, because we know that research will be having all these scientific terms. So there should not be the use of any scientific terms. So it should be in a simple language in a way that they can understand. Then it should also contain the duration of the participant, how long they have to be part of the study, and how often they will be contacted, and how many other participants are involved, what all type of data will be, what all information that will be collected, and in which all methods it will be collected. So such information should be present. Then like if the participant will be is getting any benefit, so that also has to be informed to the participant. Like maybe sometimes in certain research there will be given like some amount of money, but it should not be a huge sum, so that because of the that money they will participate. So some money will be given, so that such kind of benefits, or free treatment, so all those benefits should be clearly mentioned. Then like not just to the participant, but all the benefits to the community and also others that will be there as an outcome of the disease. So such things has to be explained. Then not the benefit, not just the benefit, we also have to teach or educate them regarding the risk, or what all discomforts they have to go through, like what all inconveniences are there, we need to explain to them that also. So benefits has to be informed. Then for any foreseeable risk, if it is there, that has to be also discussed with the participants. So in this in the informed consent document, see, these information also should be there. Then the researcher has to maintain the confidentiality, so that is a prerequisite for informed consent process itself. So how it will be, how the confidentiality will be maintained, or to what extent this confidentiality will be this their information or any confidential information, when it will be revealed or when it will be disclosed, at what point of time the confidentiality will be removed. So that information also has to be included. For example, I think we discussed before also, like certain cases, the confidentiality, the privacy cannot be maintained. Like if while the research is being ongoing, if the participant is having some suicidal tendency and the participant is sharing it that with the researcher should not keep quiet. He should inform it to their family members and all. So maybe information such as suicidal tendency or HIV status. HIV status is important because maybe like it is transferable to like their family members. So such things, in such situation, or even some court cases are there, some legal issues are there, then the information has to be given to the authorities. So there are certain circumstances where the confidentiality cannot be maintained. So this also has to be explained to the participants, because participants how they like based upon these things, such as the confidentiality will be maintained, privacy will be maintained, based upon that only maybe the participant is willing to participate. So how extent the confidentiality will be maintained, and what time it will be revealed, all such things has to be explained. So that has to be explained to the participant. Then payment or reimbursement, and also any incidental expenses, like for example if the participation, like for participating, if any payment is there, or any like some kind of like for example, if the participant, if the research is on diabetes, then we know that frequently their their glucose level has to be checked. So this may be a routine checkup, but for that routine checkup, the participant has to pay. But since it is also a part of the study, sometimes it will be reimbursed to the participants. So such reimbursement should be explained. Like such reimbursement is there, that should be explained to the patient. So if any free treatment and or compensation of participants for research related injury and or harm. So here we can see that like for all research, if some injury has happened as a result of being part of the research, then compensation must be given. So that has to be clearly explained. So this compensation is calculated based upon like various formulas we will discuss in the coming chapters. So such compensation is there for all research related injuries, and this should be known by the participant. Then if free treatment is being given, that is also should be, the participant must also know that. Then very important thing is that it is the participant always has got the freedom to participate or withdraw from the research. The participants will be always having uh, the freedom to withdraw from the study, no matter they have signed that they will be part of the study till the end of the research. There is no such thing. Even if they have signed, they have all rights to withdraw from the study, like whenever they feel to. So, and this the participant should know, and the researcher also should ensure that even if they withdraw from the study prematurely, then they will not be having they will not be charged any penalty, or they will not lose any benefits. So the participant may be maybe the visiting a particular doctor for a long time, and this particular doctor is the principal investigator. So the participants should be so confident that even if I withdraw from the study, my doctor will be giving me the best treatment. So he should not have any fear that if I withdraw from the study, the doctor will be angry, he will not be treating me properly. Such things should not be there. So it is important that the participant has will be having that confidence, and the participant know that he can withdraw from the study whenever he wants, and he will not lose any benefit for from being removed from the, or from being voluntarily going out of the study, or they have to pay, they should not be liable to pay any penalty. So such things has to be the participants has to be very well educated about such things. Then the in the patient information sheet, we have to also give all the details, all the contact details of the research team, and also any contact person whom they have to contact whenever there is any issues, any health related issues that is there as a result of being part of the research. So identity of the research team and contact persons with their addresses and phone numbers. Like for example, the principal investigators, co-principal investigators, for like even after going back to their home, they should be always available, and they should feel free to contact the principal investigator or co-principal investigator to clarify any doubts pertaining to the research. Then even the chairperson or member secretary of the IRBIEC, or any other helpline for to give appeal against violation of ethical principle and human rights. So all such contact information should also be present in the patient information sheet, which will be given to the participant after the informed consent is being taken. So these should be present. Then these are important, these are essential elements. All these what we discussed just now should be present in an informed consent document. So first and foremost thing is that there should be a statement that it is a research, and they are doing research on this particular participant. Then how it is done, what are the methods used, how long it will be done, like what are the frequency of contact, how the data will be collected, then or how the samples will be collected, how often the samples will be taken, then what all benefits will be there to the participant as well as to the community, then what risks are involved in the study, or any discomfort or inconvenience is there, then how the confidentiality of the records are maintained, and at which point of time the confidentiality will be revealed, then if any payment or reimbursement is there, then if there is any free treatment, or like how the compensation will be given for research related injury or harm. Then and another important point is the participant is always free to withdraw from the study, and by withdrawing from the study they will not have to pay any penalty, or they will not lose any of the benefits that they were enjoying before. Then all the contact details of the principal investigator, co-principal investigators, and chairperson or member secretary of the IRBIEC, and also um, any helpline number, like if there is any violation against the ethical principle and human rights. So these all information must be present. These are essential elements of the informed consent document. Now there are some additional elements of an informed consent document. So based upon the type of the study or type of the research, some additional requirements, some additional information may also be included in the informed consent document. So in that they can include any alternative procedure or courses of treatment that might be advantageous to the participant. So we know that research is like some of the research will be like comparing two drugs, or there will be like already there is a standard drug available for any particular illness, but we want to try our new chemical entity. So in that situation, it is important that the participant must know that there is some other treatment also available, but I am being given this particular new drug. So if at all such a drug or any other alternative procedure or any other course of treatment is available, then the participant must know about it. Then in case of certain research, such as research on HIV or any other genetic disorder, so there will be some social stigma associated with such kind of diseases. So the participant must get, they should be having some provision for pre-test and post-test counseling. So in that situation, the participant must be given some counseling, and they should also be given some hint that there is chance of some social stigma, so they have to be educated about that. So that information also has to be included in if the research is involving HIV patients or similar kind of illnesses. Then if there is an insurance coverage, then that has to be included. Then in case if their biological sample is being taken, maybe genetic information or bone marrow, like stem cells, or some biological sample is taken, biological material is taken, and there is a chance that that sample will be used for some further researches, not just this research. In some other research in the future, it will be used again. Then it also has to be informed to the participants, and only with the participants' consent that they can use their biological sample in the future studies also. So once during a study, if any biological sample is being collected from the participant, then either like the researcher has to explain to them that this sample will be used in a further study, like some another study in the coming years, it will be used, it has to be informed. So if they give the permission only, then such biological sample can be used in another research. So whenever we use biological sample, we need to inform the participants that we will be taking your biological sample, so they will already will be knowing that the procedures we have to explain to the participants. So it doesn't end there, like these biological sample can even be used further in another studies also, but in that case we have to tell the participants that your biological sample will be used in this study, and maybe sometimes will be used in some other studies that will happen in the future. So, and the participant, if they are giving the consent, then only they can go for it. Then other data, other information such as same point, like how long the sample or maybe data will be stored, and whether they will use it for any other secondary purposes, then whether the material is shared with any others, then the participants also will be have like they have the right to prevent their biological sample being used in any other studies or in the future. Then they also, if there maybe in case of some DNA type, there is chance that if later on maybe some discovery is being made, and their biological sample is going for some sensitive information is there associated with their biological sample, and whether sometimes it will be discovered and it will be known to the public. There is chance that it will be known to the public. So what all provisions will be there at that time to safeguard their confidentiality? So such information also has to be known by the participant. Then if at all their biological sample, research on the biological sample like some breakthrough research has happened, and if it is leading to some commercialization, then any benefit is there out of that to the participant, that also has to be known by the participant. Then publication plan, like if photographs or their pedigree chart means some like cell line, family cell line or DNA chart. So such chart or photographs are being published. If such plans are there, then also the participants should know about it. So these are additional information that the participants must know. So any alternative procedure or course of treatment which is advantageous to the participant, that has to be given. Then if there is a possibility that the research will be leading to any stigmatization, that has to be informed. Then if there is any insurance coverage, then whether there is a chance that their biological sample would be used in the future. Then based on the biological sample also, how, or even the data, how long it will be stored, whether it will be shared with the others. Then even the participant has got the right to prevent the use of their biological sample in the future studies. So such information has to be given. Next is the responsibility of the researcher. So the researcher should always use the ethical committee approved version of the consent form, including even the local translation. So the informed consent document, both the patient information sheet and the informed consent form, has to be approved by the ethical committee. So before initiating the study, this particular document has to be prepared, and it also has to be submitted along with the protocol to the ethical committee, and they have to approve it. Even their local translation has to be, so it will be prepared initially in English, so maybe in whichever community it is going to be used, then in that language it has to be prepared, so that it will be translated. So that translation also has to be verified by the ethical committee. So then the same, the research, it is a researcher's responsibility that they inform everything to the participant, should be communicated to the participant in a language that can be easily understood by the participants. Then in case sometimes the participants are differently abled, such as individuals with physical, neurological or mental disabilities, then appropriate methods should be used. For example, in case of visually impaired patients, we can go for the Braille system. So in differently abled participants, it is important that they understand. So how, like they have to select, or they have to follow some other strategies, so that it will be effective in such kind of participants. Then the researcher should not restrict the participants' right to ask any questions related to the study, and researcher should give sufficient time to the participant to discuss regarding the research with the family members or any other friends. So they should be, researcher should give time, and researcher should not restrict, should give full freedom to ask any questions pertaining to the research. Then the researcher also should not give any unjustifiable assurances, or should not have any influence or intimidate a prospective participant to enroll in the study. So researchers should not force them in any way by giving them something or assuring that everything will be fine, or like giving false promises or unnecessary points being made. So such things should not happen from the researcher's side. Then the researcher also should ensure that the participant is competent and has understood all aspects of the study, and the consent is given or voluntarily. So this is very important because the researcher has to, like, why he has to explain everything, and he should ensure that the participant has understood very well, and after understanding everything he is giving the consent with full assurance, or willingly he is giving the consent. So the researcher has to ensure this. And if the participant, and also if the participant is illiterate, then a legally acceptable representative should be giving the consent. So if both participants and legally acceptable representative are illiterate, then when the informed consent process is taking place, then there should be the presence of an impartial witness, and this impartial witness should be a literate person. So this impartial literate person should be present throughout the consent process as witness. So one thing is, researcher must ensure that the participant is competent and understood everything, and is giving the consent willingly. Then if the participant is illiterate, then a legally acceptable representative can give the consent. So in that case, both the participant and the legally acceptable representative must be educated regarding everything about the research, and the legally acceptable representative, after discussing with the participant, can give the consent, willingly can give the consent. Now if in case both the participant and the legally acceptable representative are illiterate, then there requires the presence of an impartial witness, and this impartial witness should be literate, and this impartial witness should be present, like when everything is explained to the legally acceptable representative and also to the participant. Then impartial witness can be any person who is not related to the study, even like a person from another ward, a patient from another bed can be an impartial witness, any social worker, or any other person, any person who is not involved directly with the research. So such a person can be an impartial witness. So that is all these things the researcher has to take care. Then the researcher also should administer a test of understanding. So he should ask some questions, like whether to know whether the participant has really understood about the study. Then in case if the participant is willing to participate but not willing to sign or give a thumb impression, or they cannot do like that, then verbal or oral consent can be taken. So in that situation, again the impartial witness should be present, who should sign and date the consent document. So sometimes the participants will be willing to study, but they don't want to give any sign or thumb impression, or they are unable to do so. So in such a situation, an impartial, again it is an impartial witness is required. So everything has to be done in the presence of the impartial witness, and this impartial witness should sign and date the consent document. And in this situation, this particular event, they have to video record it, and in this video record, all the people, such as the principal investigator, the impartial witness, and also the participant, they all have to come in the same frame. So so in case if the participant is not willing to sign or give thumb impression, impartial witness can do that, but it has to be video recorded. And all such things should happen only after approval by the ethical committee. And they should not go for this practice in a routine basis. So they can video record it, but only after they get the approval from the ethical committee. So that is another thing that the researcher has to take care. Then in certain situation, reconsent, or the again or a fresh informed consent of participant must be taken. So some situation like in some situation we need to take the consent again, or we need to take a new consent. So we can see in which all situation they have to do that. So here so that we will discuss the reconsent or fresh informed consent. must be taken in certain circumstances, such as there are some circumstances like that. One example is like some new information about the particular drug is available now, like after they have taken the research is already on process, they have taken the informed consent process, and the research is halfway, and at that point of time some new information about the drug has is being available, and this information is going to affect the participants decision whether to continue or it is affecting their decision to participate. In that situation, they have to educate the participant regarding this new information, and again a new consent has to be taken. So there are certain situations where re-consent or fresh informed consent of each participant must be taken. One example is whenever some new information about the drug is available, about the chemical entity is available, and this information is going to affect the participant's decision uh, to be part of the study or not. So whenever such information is available, again the participant has to be educated about it, and again the consent has to be taken. So there are some situations such as such situations are there, and the researcher has to be aware about it. Then the researcher also, this we discussed already, the researcher has to assure the participants that their decision whether or not to participate will not affect any of their rights. So that doctor-patient relationship will not be affected even if they withdraw from the study, even if they don't participate, etc. Then if like for travel and any other incidental expenses, then the reimbursement will be given, and what all reimbursement or what all benefit that will be given to the participant, it has to be known by the ethical committee, because such benefits sometimes will attract participants, people to join by thinking about their monetary benefits. So what all benefits is being given, then all such benefits should be approved by the ethical committee. Then in case of any research related injury, free treatment should be available, should be given, and on compensation also should be given based upon some calculations are there. Then researcher also should ensure that the participant can continue to access the routine care even in the event of withdrawal of the participant. So even after withdrawing from the study, the, the patient or the participants will can access the uh, physician for any of their routine checkup. There is like they don't have to feel anything bad. So researcher, it is the responsibility of the researcher that they ensure that nothing will change even after withdrawing from the study. So these are the responsibility of the researcher. So researcher has to use the informed consent document after being approved by the ethical committee. Then it should be the researcher has to communicate everything in a language that is understood by the participant. Then in case of differently able participant, then the, like for example visually challenged, braille system can be used or appropriate method according to the problem that is being faced by the participant. Then the researcher should ensure that the participant has every right to ask any questions, and researcher also should give ample of time for the participant to think and also to discuss with their family members or friends. Then researcher should not give any unjustifiable assurance, or he should not influence or in any way ask them to participate in the study by offering them some benefits. Then the researcher also should ensure that the participant is competent, and the researcher has to make sure that the participant understood, and then he is giving the consent. Then in case if the participant is illiterate, then a legally acceptable representative can give the consent, and if participant and legally acceptable representative is illiterate, then an impartial witness should be present, and this person should be present throughout the informed consent process. And this impartial witness can be any person who is not related to the research, so it can be even be a patient who is in the hospital. Then researcher also has to do some kind of test of understanding, some questions can be asked, so and it should also be repeated, so until the participant understands everything, the researcher has to repeat this to ensure that the participant is getting the things that being all the things that is pertaining to the research. Then if the participant is willing to participate but not willing to sign or give thumb impression, then an impartial witness can do so, but the researcher has to do video recording of it, and everyone, like the principal investigator, the impartial witness, and also the participant should come in one frame. And in this particular situation, if the researcher wishes to do such kind of thing, then he also has to get prior approval from the ethical committee. And the researcher also should not practice it routinely. He should not do this with every participant. In certain case only he has to go for it, and for doing that he has to get the permission from the ethical committee. Then in certain situations, the informed consent has to be repeated, or reconsent, or it has to be done, or fresh consent has to be taken in certain situation. One such situation is like when new information regarding the drug is available, and the and this particular new information is going to affect the uh, participants decision whether to participate or not. Then the researcher also has to ensure that even if the participants enroll for the study, or they withdraw at any point of time, and it is not going to affect any way their relationship. It is not going to uh, uh, it is like the participant will not lose any of his benefits, or any of its any, like the researcher will not behave differently even after withdrawing from the study. Then the researcher has to ensure free treatment to the um, participant, and any compensation also has to be given in all or in all research related injuries. Then and if reimbursement for travel and any other expenses is being given, then only after ethical committee approval researcher can go for it. Then the researcher also should ensure that the participant can continue to access all the routine care he was receiving, even in the event of withdrawal by the participant. So these are some of the things that the researcher has to take care of when he is doing this informed consent process. So remaining we'll do in the next class. I'm sorry for the delay. There was some network issue.